If you're new to the channel, we're here in North Carolina. This is zone 7. It's October 16th and I am just trying to grow a bunch of fruit trees. In this yard we have a lot of crabgrass, which is this what I would call a weed that grows kind of like a carpet and easily takes over areas. And one of the reasons why I wanted to use wood chips was for weed suppression. I've been doing a lot of research on this and hearing people on YouTube about wood chips, and I realized that one of the biggest problems with the back to Eden method that people experience are weeds popping up in their wood chips or unwanted grasses or anything. So as you can see, this stuff is pretty strong and can grow long distances. So some of these that I pull out get up to like 5 or 6 feet and even longer. And as you can see here, they actually just bust through the cardboard. So I have used cardboard underneath the wood chips. So what I did was like mow the grass down as low as I could, put cardboard over it, and then put wood chips on it. And it's not that thick. It's probably like 2 inches here, which I think is a mistake. I think like maybe 6 inches would have been better. But these are young fruit trees and I am new to this, so I'm just learning. So far I have learned that crabgrass, it spreads more so than it digs deep. So crabgrass can come from outside of a garden bed and kind of take over it by rooting down kind of shallowly, but spreading a long distance. And then it'll bust through any weak spots in the cardboard wood chip covering. One other mistake I made is that in some parts of the yard I used more like a fine-grained chip mulch, which you can kind of see here. This stuff, which is almost like composted wood chips to the point where it's like a soil or a medium where the crabgrass actually likes, and it can easily bust through that and root down into it. So if I were to do this again, I would do a couple things differently. One is use more layers of cardboard. I just put down one layer. I'd probably do like 2 layers next time at least. And then I would use more wood chips, and not fine-grained wood chips, but more like actual chips like these. And another thing, and I'm actually trying to redo this section of the yard. This is our fig orchard area, you could say, on the south side of the property next to the house. But this is what I've been doing this weekend. I used this rake here to kind of scrape away the crabgrass and expose its roots, and then I did a lot of hand pulling of the roots, taking this stuff out. And underneath here is where you can see the fine-grained mulch that I laid down previously, that the crabgrass just kind of expanded over. And then I'm trying to use some type of barrier here. So I had these I don't know, something I got at Lowe's. They're kind of like cement bricks that you could build a retaining wall from, but I made a circle around the area of the tree. What my intention with these barriers is to try to block the horizontal spreading of the crabgrass from other parts of the yard. And inside of here I just put wood chips on, but underneath it is the actual soil, and I put we're kind of a clay heavy, medium to heavy clay where we are in western North Carolina, and I put a kind of a thin layer of topsoil on that, and then this time probably 6 inches of wood chips on top of that, and not fine grain wood chips, but more like a good arborist mix of chips and twigs and even some leaves. So what I would love to happen is have this barrier block out oncoming crabgrass from spreading into the roots of the tree, because that's really the intention. Like, the problem with crabgrass is that it gets too close to the roots of the tree that we are caring for, and it robs the nutrients in the soil for the tree, and can also, I think, disturb the tree's roots and prevent it from growing. So this area inside of the barrier is dedicated for space for the roots of this fig tree to grow and expand. And these wood chips will break down over time and provide nutrients into the soil where the fig tree roots are going to grow. Now, the crabgrass, it doesn't go too deep into the ground, so I'm not super concerned that the crabgrass is going to go underneath the barrier and underneath in here and start growing. But I will need to be diligent, I think, of keeping the area kind of buffer zone here clear from any crabgrass, and I'll do that with a weed whacker and just kind of take a look at it in the morning when I do my walkthrough. So that's kind of what I've been working on today. I've done 2 so far, and there are 4 more fig trees on this side. But I want to take you over to the main fruit orchard area, where I have spent many hours and a lot of energy applying this back to Eden style technique to the fruit orchard. A lot of people use back to Eden for vegetable gardening. I'm not doing that. I actually didn't even know about back to Eden until a few days ago, but I was following James Prigioni in New Jersey, and he always recommends wood chips, and he's kind of basing his technique off back to Eden. But what I've done here is got cardboard, acquired a whole bunch of cardboard over the past almost year. This orchard is probably 10 months old. Some of these trees even went in this fall, but this area underneath the wood chips is covered with cardboard and then wood chips. And as you can see, in some areas the crabgrass comes through, and you know, there's unwanted grass here. Now, what I've been kind of realizing is that I'm never gonna not have any, quote, weeds or grass. That is something that kind of have to manage for the lifetime of the orchard. But I'll tell you what, having these wood chips down has helped save a lot of time of mowing and watering. It really does help with water retention in the soil. I haven't watered this tree, for example, in, I don't know, 6 months, and I'm feeling it down here with my finger, and it's nice and damp. So I feel confident that I don't really have to water these trees probably ever again, and that makes me happy, because watering was a very arduous, or a long long process. There are, I don't know, 30 or 40 trees here. But, you know, in some spots I did mess up where I left gaps in the cardboard and the crabgrass just finds its way through. And what I've been doing since learning about back to Eden and hearing other people's stories about weed problems and crabgrass, is that I'm trying to pull these out and then add more wood chips on top and kind of amend the spots where I have left gaps and weeds are popping through. But there are areas, like down here, it's really clean. Like, there's absolutely no crabgrass popping up. There are some actually wild onions that I like to chew on. But just looking around this area, there's not really many weeds. Here's a couple. And they come out actually pretty easy, which is nice. Back with the figs, those were not coming out too easy, but let's see how this is doing. So we have substantial amount of chips here. We're probably going down 6 inches, 7 inches. The soil down here is cool and moist. And yeah, this is actually breaking down nicely. So this is, I would guess, at least 6 months old. And I can see some crabgrass roots, like there's one right there, but this is gonna die. Like, the roots are still gonna exist because they were there underneath the cardboard and underneath the wood chips, but eventually I'm hoping that they kind of die out, but also surrendering to the fact that there's always going to be some unwanted plants that pop up, such as this. And now we're over here in the pawpaw area. We just had a nice leaf fall from this wild cherry tree and poplar tree as well. So these leaves are gonna even add more good stuff to the soil. What I've done here is that we have these little buttercup plants that are will take over, and they produce these yellow flowers. I wanted to control them a little more, so what I've done is kind of pulled out some of these and planted an edible ground cover with strawberries, ever-bearing strawberries, that I'll have kind of running around this pawpaw section of the yard. And there's a lot of green onions in this area too. I've been wanting to make a video about this process, and I'll continue making some, but I'm a little overwhelmed with how to put it all together. So this is kind of just a raw walkthrough and sharing some thoughts on this process. I'll end it there for now. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be keeping you updated on things that are going on. And if you have any questions or comments, drop it down, and I'll see you in the next one.